ready for the final mock draft of 2022? Let's go! What is up, Bengals fam? It's your boy Mike, coming back at you with another Who Daily. That's right, you heard it. Last mock draft of the season. Well, maybe. I might do a jokey one next week, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. It's not a serious one. This is the last serious one because, hey, next time we talk about draft, won't be a mock. It'll be a real, actual draft. So next week, the Bengals are going to be drafting. Couple of interesting things that are going on with these mock drafts, right? We're going to jump in here in a minute, but they're all over the place. You hear all of these people, everybody has their own opinion about what the Bengals should do, what they shouldn't do, what the players they should be looking at. We don't know really what their board looks like, and we won't until they start picking, right? They start making these selections. But the issue is, we don't know any way. We don't have any way of actually sitting down and interviewing these players to see if they fit the culture, if they can learn a playbook, if what kind of dudes they are, their work ethic. We don't. As casual fans, we don't know how. We can't really do that. So that's why their boards are going to be a lot different than ours. They actually have access to the players to be able to do that. But Duke Tobin today actually hinted at the fact that they're probably just going to go BPA. Like they don't see their roster as having a need for a starter. They do need depth at certain positions, right? But basically what I've been telling you guys, they're going to sit there and go BPA. And I think if it comes down to, okay, we've got 5 dudes here that we really like, that we would draft at 31, the edge will probably go to defense just because they spent a bunch of money in the offense in the offseason, and they don't really need. I think they're comfortable with where that final guard spot is, and they're comfortable taking that into camp and making that a battle, and just may the best man win, which is honestly not a bad strategy at all. But with that in mind, I wanted to go into the draft. I turned up the randomness a little bit on the mock draft simulator because it just feels really random this year. It feels like we're not going to be able to predict who's going to be there. But I think if the Bengals do have a need, and I'm going to go ahead and run it, see who's... we're going to jump in and run it and see who's there for us. But if the Bengals do have a need in this draft, in any way, shape, or form, it's safety. And the reason I say that is because the 2 safeties they have on their roster right now who are going to be starters, and Jesse Bates and Von Bell, their contracts are both up at the end of next year. Well, Jesse Bates is playing on the franchise tag, so that franchise tag is going to expire. Von Bell's contract is up next year. Chances are they'll only be able to bring back one of those 2 guys. I think they want it to be Jesse Bates, but they need to be able to draft a guy that they're comfortable playing in a too high safety look, right? So that they can play that. So no matter which safety comes back, they'll have another safety that can play in a too high look. Those are kind of few and far between in this draft. So We'll see how it shakes out. But the mock draft right here, as it's shaking out, Bengals at 31. We see the top of the board, Bernard Raymond, who we saw early on, like the first few mock drafts I did, we saw a lot of him. But he started to move up boards, actually. So we took him a couple times in mock drafts before, but he never has. Now he's sliding back down the board. I think it's to do with his age, to be honest with you. I think people are realizing 25-year-old dude, it's kind of tough to take him in the first round. The Bengals are not, I don't know what kind of grade they'll have on Raymond, but if he's there, it'll be interesting to see. We take a look. Sky Moore, I don't think they're going wide receiver, especially not at 31. Travis Jones is an interesting one. This is actually really interesting because I don't know how they're going to have him graded in comparison to a true 3-tech. Travis Jones isn't a true 3-tech. He has 3-tech skills. It's not like he's a clunker in the pass rush situation. It's just that he weighs 335 pounds, so he's not as quick with the get off. He's more of a power rush type player, and I think the Bengals are really looking for like a Logan Hall type of dude. So I don't know that they would go that way. George Pickens, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love that because his dad is a Bengals legend, so that would be awesome if George Pickens, but they're not going wide receiver again in the first round. Kyer Elam is probably the go here. It's either Kyer Elam or honestly maybe Daxton Hill. Those are 2, because Kyer Elam's a corner, right? He's not going to play safety for you, but you can get safeties in the 2nd or 3rd round here. I think for my taste, man, I do like Travis Jones, but I think between corner and defensive back, they really need to draft a corner to to be here long term on this roster and kind of be a cornerstone, pardon the wordplay there, to this defense going forward. So we're going to go Kyer Elam here. I know, even though it's a super, even though I turn the randomness up in this draft, you won't really see that in the first round. You'll see it more in the middle rounds and later. But if you take it, oh my goodness, of course, I sit here, I'd pick Kyer Elam in the first round, and then look who shows up, is still available when we pick in the second. Roger McCreary, who I also really like. Actually, I have him just below Kyer Elam on my tight end rankings. So, or I'm sorry, on my cornerback rankings. So that's interesting. I don't think you can go back-to-back corners in the draft. I also like Cam Taylor-Britt. Right. This is the reason, by the way, why they may not feel like they have to draft Kyer Elam or a corner at 31, and they may go with the Travis Jones, because there's a chance you're sitting here in the second round looking at Roger McCreary. I don't like Nick Cross. I'm not even going to try to sugarcoat it. I don't think he is a second round worthy type player. I may, if he's there in the fourth or fifth round, take a look at Nick Cross, but not here. Luke Gadecki is a really good tackle they may take a look at. Chad Mumma is essentially, if you drafted him, you would just be drafting another Logan Wilson. Not to say that's a bad thing. I'm just saying I don't think they need two Logan Wilsons on the team. And then you start looking down here. Greg Dulcich is an interesting one here if you wanted to go offense a little bit here after going defense in the first round. You got an edge player in Cam Thomas that I really like. I actually like Alex Wright as well. Perry and Winfrey would be that 3-tech that we talked about, and I think that may be the move here. Man, I don't know. I really like Kingsley Enagbare, 22 years old, 6'1", 260 pounds, and his grading, I mean, it's just, the thing is, how do you pass up on a dude with a 26% pass rush win rate right here? When pass rush off the edge, especially when Hendrickson wasn't in the game, was really, really tough for them last year. I think I have to go Kingsley Enagbare here in the second round, because he's kind of he's a do-it-all type. He's a do-it-all type edge player, right? He defends the run pretty well. He rushes the passer pretty well. He's got pretty good get off, and he's big and strong, right? He fits the physical archetype of the type of edge players the Bengals like to draft. So go ahead and get Kingsley Enagbare here. Now we're looking at kind of best available on the board. We went corner, edge player. This may be a situation where we're starting to look maybe offensive line. I think they're just going to go best available. I've heard a lot of smoke around them really liking Zion McCollum, and that may be true, but I don't know if they like him enough to go third round with him after taking Kyer Elam. Myjai Sanders is here. I do like Myjai Sanders, but we just took an edge. By the way, an edge player I think is better. I know that everybody likes Jeremy Ruckert. I think for a third-round pick, I need more film on a guy, and I need more production out of him. But if you take a look at kind of what's at the top, I mean, really the value here, if we really wanted to say the Bengals are going to take the best player that's available to them, the value here is Brian Asamoah, linebacker out of Oklahoma, 6 foot, 226 pounds. The only thing is here, they don't draft linebackers this small. Akeem Davis-Gaither was this small, but he was also like a 4th-round pick, right? So I don't know. What I really want to do here has got to be take Kellen Diesch. Kellen Diesch, I've seen, he's one of these guys. He's projected by PFF to be a 3rd-round pick. He's one of these guys that jumps all over the place. I've seen him up in the 2nd round. I've seen him down in like the 6th round sometimes available. It's really weird, but he's got the size, 6'7", 301, put up the grades in a good conference in the Pac-12. Just, really athletic left tackle prospect here. You do kind of, you do want that insurance. So I think I'm going to go, man, and I really like Dominic Robinson too, but I'm going to go Kellen Diesch in the 3rd round. So now you got a tackle in the mix here. I think you got to start looking offensive weapons. They do have a sneaky need now at tight end and wide receiver. So let's see. I do like Kyle Phillips quite a bit. I also like Kevin Austin Jr. Man, Matthew Butler sitting here is really tempting because he is a true 3-tech. and we haven't been able to get one yet. Yeah, I'm going to have to go Matthew Butler. Matthew Butler flashes as a really good 3-tech when you watch his film. 6'4", 297. He's an ascending 3 technique. He's the last one left here, guys. So I think, well, not the last one. There is one more. Curtis Brooks out of Cincinnati. Looking like a really interesting prospect. But I've got to go Matthew Butler right here. 3-tech out of Tennessee, and come in and be a rotational pass rush guy in the middle of your defense. I think that's a pretty solid pickup here. We already got our tackle. There's Curtis Brooks sitting here. We'll see how far he falls. I mean, it may be worth taking him if he falls. Just looking at, here's Tyquan Thornton. You guys have seen me take Tyquan Thornton when he used to be there in the 7th round, right? Now people are starting to realize, hey, this guy's got some juice to him. 6'2", 181, and he flies. He ran a 4.3 40. Deron Bland is a new guy I haven't talked about with you guys. 6'2", 200 pounds. Pretty good grades playing out of Fresno State, and has a good RAS score. That's a corner. Could be a really interesting pick right there. I actually like Jason Poe. You guys have heard me talk about him quite a bit. But man, it's really tough to say what they should do here in this specific situation. But in order to make sure we get a guy, I really like Jake Ferguson, 6'5", 250 pounds, right? You've seen, you can come into PFF and watch some of his highlights, or look him up on YouTube. He played in the Big Ten. He's not anything incredible, but he could be really solid. Really solid. He catches everything. Only a 2% drop rate, which is incredible. Receiving grade of 87.8. Let's go ahead and grab us a tight end. Jake Ferguson, come on down. Jake Ferguson, to me, feels like kind of he's a little bit bigger version with less route running skills as Greg Dulcich, only he's a better blocker, so he's a good kind of tweener type dude. And this is why I didn't take Curtis Brooks or Jason Poe. They're still here at pick 209, so we could go that way if we wanted to. I actually think this guy right here, Joshua Ezwodu, 6'4", 208. He's actually a center, I believe, but or maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. This could be an interesting one if you wanted to, double up on some interior offensive linemen. But right here, I actually think, you know what? I want to give him some love. I don't think I've ever taken him in a mock draft, so I think 6'2", 285. This dude's built, built kind of like Geno Atkins. Geno Atkins is really thick through the hips, though. This guy is built more like, almost like a running back type of frame, but just a yoked up, huge running back. He's got giant arms, but he's really quick and kind of, he's a super leverage player, right? He gets into the B gap, the A and B gap, and once he gets in between the defender, you can't root him out of there. He's in the gap, and he's going to shoot up field. So, interesting pick for a UC player that really wasn't even on anyone's board until a couple, maybe a week and a half ago. He started showing up on boards and moving up for people. If you take a look now, what do we got? I actually don't mind Cordell Volston, 6'6", 315, put up some really good grades at North Dakota State. But I don't know that we want to go offensive line. Smoke Monday's still here. This feels really late for Smoke Monday to still be here. Have we taken a safety yet? The Bengals have met with Smoke Monday. I think they like Smoke Monday. Just looking, I prefer Brad Hawkins, just because he's a more well-rounded safety prospect and can play in that deep. You can see here with the snap counts, he plays mostly deep. When you look at Smoke Monday, and look at he's a physical specimen. This guy's huge, but he's more split evenly here. You see between box and deep safety. So his snap counts, his alignment matches more of the Von Bell type. So I guess you could say here, if the Bengals get their way and they end up they're able to keep Jesse Bates on a contract they like, Smoke Monday is actually the move here, because he'll then, if they lose Bell, if they lose Von Bell, Smoke Monday is more similar type of player to Von Bell, though he's bigger. Von Bell's a smaller player, and Smoke Monday, I'm not sure how his kind of slot coverage skills are, but as far as a strong safety coming in as a sport to run, he can also play a little bit in that too high look. I'm going to go ahead and grab Smoke Monday here. I think that's a steal at that pick. I mean, in the 7th round, to get, a guy that's that solid. Right now, looking at the last pick, 252, I'm either thinking Jason Poe, or this guy out that I've taken before, the wide receiver. We haven't taken a wide receiver yet. He's always here because he's always on the. He's always available for some reason. And I say that, and watch, this will be the first time he's not available. Where did he go? Yeah. Oh, there he is. The Cardinals took him at 244. Okay. Well, I mean, let's see if there are any other specialty players that we. I don't think I want to goof this up at all. I think I just want to take Jason Poe because two things. I think he's a really interesting guard prospect, interior offensive line prospect. He's really athletic, mostly a pass blocker more than a run blocker. But he also plays. He's athletic enough. He plays fullback and at a pretty good level. Like he can run routes and catch the football. So really interesting player. Let's try Jason Poe out of Mercer for the Mercer Bears. So here's the draft, guys. Final mock draft of the season. Let's take a look. We got the cornerback of the future, Kyrie Elam. We've got a really solid, versatile edge player in Kingsley Enagbare, who a few years from now may end up being the replacement for Sam Hubbard because he can play all 3 downs for you, and he can rush the passer and he can help stop the run. Kellen Diesch is a developmental left tackle prospect, so if something happens where they can't bring Jonah Williams back, or somebody gets hurt, or maybe you're looking for somebody who's going to take over after La'el Collins leaves, this is a really good developmental guy to have. Matt Butler is probably the 3rd or 4th best 3-tech in this draft. You got him in the 4th round. So really good upside with him. You also got Curtis Brooks, they'll be able to develop together. I think you're getting a lot of juice along the defensive line with those 3 defensive line picks. Jake Ferguson, I really like as a tight end prospect. I think he's a well-rounded prospect. He's one of the few prospects in this draft that can block and be a vertical threat down the seam. So I really like him. Smoke Monday, I think, is a steal in the 7th round. Don't be surprised if the Bengals take him in the 5th round, honestly. But if he's available in the 7th, that's a steal. Big hitter, loves to mix it up and get nasty in there. So he really fits the Bengals' personality on defense. And Jason Poe, the versatile interior offensive lineman who also plays a little bit of fullback. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. I'm loving this, but the next time we talk about the draft class, it will be to talk about who the Bengals pick at 31 if they don't trade out of that spot. Really hoping they don't. But until next time, Bengals fans, I've been Mike. This has been Who Daily. See ya.